last day of Shark Week. It's the last day. Shark Week, day 7. Listen, it's been a fantastic week. It's been a fantastic week. But like all good things, it must come to an end. And I must admit, they went out on a high note. Shark Week, day 7. My only complaint is that day 7 only has 2 programs. Because these 2 were good. If you are more research focused, then these are 2 programs that would definitely interest you. There wasn't any celebrities or anything like that. This was meat and potatoes. All right. So let's jump right in. Our first show up was Great White Highway. Now, this show is an interesting one. It kind of piggybacks off of a previous show done by ABC, right? Where he was researching a potential new Great White hotspot up in the Northeast, in Nova Scotia, right? And this piggybacks off of that. The Great White Highway is actually an area up in the Northeast, again, Nova Scotia, where they have recorded in the past few years a dramatic increase in great white shark activity. It seems as though the great whites are using this area as a literal highway for migration, right? And as a result, it actually led to the country's first recorded great white shark attack. This documentary or show is all about trying to, one, understand what the sharks are doing, where they are, and how we can avoid negative interactions between humans and the great whites. So, listen, this type of research is about as important as it can get, right? Trying to make sure that we are keeping ourselves safe, as well as understanding the local shark populations and not falling into, stereotypes or just negative interactions. Instead of trying to murder them, we're trying to figure them out and find a way to coexist. So this type of programming is all that a shark lover can ask for. Now, the one thing that I do want to note about this program, you could tell that this research took a long time because the feel of it was as though it was a research relay. You actually started off with Walter Flower and Allie Flower, right? So they are local tour guides. Started off as whale tour guides, I believe, but then branched off into shark tracking because of all the great whites in the area. They actually invited in Andy Casagrande, Christine De Silva, and they focused on trying to set up buoys and making sure that tagged sharks will ping off of those buoys and alert not only the local swimmers, scuba divers, but just people in the area that these sharks are nearby, right? And that is a local effort. That's an effort that's been on the rise, I want to say worldwide, honestly. It's a good way to track the sharks and to let people know that there is potential danger if you do decide to go to the water. But even though it starts with them, it actually shifts because they also invite a Dr. Nigel Hussey, and he in turn brings in a familiar face, Greg Skomal, Dr. Greg Skomal. I feel like I have not been seeing him. Here's another one, and I also have to issue a correction from yesterday because I made a video saying that I don't remember that many shark researchers in the Northeast, right? Now, granted, the Northeast is not the same as like a Florida or a California or a tropical location, but there are more shark researchers. What I really meant to say was the fact that they don't appear on Shark Week as much, right? It's really only been Craig, But then, Dr. Scomo comes back, and I'm like, whoa, it's been a while. So it's really good to see him. Friendly face, enthusiastic, been at this for decades. So he's actually been monitoring the shark populations in the Northeast and the boom of great whites for over 10 years. So excellent expertise for him to come on board. So it shifted from ABC and that group to then Greg Scomo and him taking over the research. And overall, it was just a really solid show. Really solid show. So happy to see him back, and happy to see that the shark population, the great white shark population in the Northeast is growing. For me, I'm sorry, that's an amazing thing. So shout out to the Sharks. Then we had our second show. So our second and final show of Shark Week is Thresher Shark, Stunned to Kill. Now this show actually features Dr. Craig O'Connell and Aaliyah Banchik. Now, this show, super interesting. First of all, I remember seeing another content creator again stating that they see thresher sharks a lot. I feel like I don't see threshers on Shark Week enough. Thresher sharks are a popular meme because they just look funny, but thresher sharks, I don't feel like they're researched that much on Shark Week, even though they're such a cool species. They actually happen to be one of my favorites, right? Just that crazy body plan with the elongated tail. It's interesting, right? And then they have a very unique hunting strategy. And that is what the purpose of this show was about, right? Dr. Craig O'Connell, who happened to remind me of Matt Hooper from Jaws, when he talked about his childhood encounter with a thresher shark, and that same thing happened with Matt Hooper. It was just like, okay, it was meant to be. But yeah, because of that initial encounter, which it might have sparked his interest into sharks, it led him to want to always see a thresher shark live, and to also try and catch a predation event live on camera, right? And he brought in Aaliyah, who is another shark biologist, who actually had a fantastic idea. Like, I actually really loved the ideas that they came up with to try and lure in the threshers. It was very innovative. And it actually makes me want to go back and like, what can I do? Right? What ingenuity can I bring to the table to try and lure in some of these species that we don't really know that much about or that we're interested in studying? So that was really cool. Their research strategy was actually on point. They dove a lot. Funny enough, because they did speak about all three species of, you can see the three in the camera, all three species of thresher shark. I was expecting this to take place in New York because there are thresher sharks local to New York waters, right? But that was not the case, right? Because I do believe we have common threshers in New York waters, right? They were not in New York. I believe they actually flew over the Indian waters, right? Which was actually pretty cool. This was about the oceanic thresher, pelagic thresher. And I mean, it's just an interesting thing to see species outside of the typical 4 or 5 that Shark Week always talks about. So this was a really cool show. The reef that they did their dives on, pristine. Like, you just added that to my dive list. So you're going to see me out there. Hopefully I can see some threshers too. But that was an amazing program. I'm not going to lie. That was a really good program. And it does leave a lot of space for future research. And because thresher sharks are one of the species that I am interested in, I definitely would not mind seeing if there's a way that I can contribute or further that research. So, listen, Shark Week, you ended on a good note. I wish there was another episode, but there's always next year, and I will be around to watch it. Heard that? I got all shark-tied. I will be around to watch it. Listen, fantastic programming. But Shark Week 2026 is officially over. I still want more sharks.